Hi everyone, today we are introducing you to basic concepts of cryptography and its application in modern-day information technology. So the first topic we are going to discuss is symmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption is the simplest and widely known kind of encryption. It only requires one secret key to cipher and decipher electronic information. A secret key can either be a number, a word, or a sequence of random letters, which also means the information that is encrypted cannot be understood by anyone who does not have the key. When a sender sends an encrypted message to a recipient using symmetric encryption, the recipient can only decipher the message using the secret key provided by the sender. Unlike symmetric examples of popular symmetric encryption includes AES or Advanced Encryption Standard, DES or Data Encryption Standard, IDEA or International Data Encryption Algorithm, etc. Unlike symmetric encryption using only one key, asymmetric encryption requires two keys, public key and private key. One key encrypts and the other can decrypt. These keys are distinctively generated through an algorithm using mathematical functions.
Now that we have understood the basics of symmetric and asymmetric encryption, let's learn about their difference. The biggest strength of asymmetric encryption is its ability to securely communicate without having to share a key. Unlike symmetric encryption, the private key does not need to be transmitted via a secure channel for the encryption to be successful. The primary weakness of asymmetric encryption is that the encryption or decryption process is relatively slow, and involves intensive computations due to longer key lengths and the complexity of the encryption algorithms. The more complex the algorithm, the longer it takes to generate a key pair. One other weakness of asymmetric encryption is that hackers can find underlying mathematics weaknesses inside the encryption algorithm to crack the private key. For example, RSA encryption relies heavily on the process of number factorization, which takes a long period of time to do. However, in recent years, there are factoring techniques that drastically fasten the factorizing process, like trial division, Fermat factorization, new factorization, etc. Just like its counterpart, symmetric encryption has its advantages. Symmetric encryption is known for its fast encryption time. Furthermore, it takes less computer resource and only requires minimal computing power to use single-key encryption than in public key encryption, also known as asymmetric encryption. One of the biggest weaknesses of symmetric encryption is the need to exchange private key between the sender and the recipient in order to initialize communication. The parties must ensure that the delivery of the private key is completely secure, which is a challenging task due to risk of the key being damaged during transmission, and cost factors.
One other form of encryption that is also well known is hashing. We will discuss about what hashing is. A hash, also known as a digest, is the digital signature that represents the contents of the information once hashed. In order to hash a piece of information, we must use hash functions. Hash function takes an input. The input can either be a text, a string, a file, etc., and produce a string or a number accordingly. When we have information that is hashed, only a slight change in its content can affect its entire hash value. This makes hashing an important tool to verify the integrity of information that we use every day. For example, let's say you want to send a letter that is super important to the president and you're about to deliver it to the White House. You want to make sure that nobody has tampered with the content of your letter. And if anybody has ever changed even just a letter of your letter, you want to know about it. Then hashing is the perfect tool for you. All you have to do is to hash your letter using some sort of hash functions, SHA2, SHA3, MD5, etc. Then save the hash value. Once you've sent the letter, you can send the original hash value to the president so he can use the same hash function that you used earlier to check if the hash value of the letter is the same as the original hash value. Only a minuscule change in the content can change the hash value of the letter drastically. The gist of hashing. Let's talk about the difference between hashing and encryption. Generally, encryption uses a key in order to decrypt the encrypted information. Only the person with the correct key or key pair can decrypt the encrypted information. Thus, encryption is a two-way process, meaning that the encrypted information. Meanwhile, hashing is a one-way process. Hashing is also a cryptographic method, but it can only convert information into a message that has no key to unlock it. The hash value generated by hashing a piece of information is irreversible. The original message cannot be deciphered using its hash value. Nowadays, it's hard to imagine the world of IT without encryptions. In our next segment, we will examine the applications of encryption in IT. Encryption has many important applications in the IT field. For instance, MD5, a widely known hashing algorithm, is commonly used to provide assurance that a transferred file has arrived intact. File servers often provide a pre-computed MD5, also known as MD5 sum, checksum for the files, so that a user can compare the checksum of the downloaded file and the checksum provided by the distributor. One other famous use of hashing is storing passwords and passwords verification. Online websites generally require a user to log in using their username, typically an email, and their password. Most of the times, the original passwords on server are stored in hash values. When a password is entered, the value of the password is then hashed and sent to the server for comparison with all the stored passwords' hash values. If the hash values match, the password is correct, otherwise, the password is incorrect. The process is done to ensure that the password cannot be sniffed by hackers, and even if they do, all they can see is complete jargon. We will end our video by talking about the roles of each encryption techniques in IT and the dangers we have to face when there is no encryption in our world. Encryption plays an important role in IT. Without encryption, there is no way to protect users' information. Most websites use hashing to store their passwords and check its validity. Without hashing and other forms of encryption, the only way to store passwords is to store it directly to the database as plaintext value, which poses high security risk to the users. Most wireless networks or Wi-Fi uses WPA, WPA2 or WPA3 security protocols to ensure the privacy of the users. For instance, WPA uses a message integrity check, which is used to prevent an attacker from altering and resending data packets. It also uses an algorithm called TKIP to verify the integrity of the packets. WPA2 uses CCMP and AES-based encryption to protect the privacy of users. With encryption, websites can establish a secure connection to its clients using HTTPS or Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure. HTTPS is used for secure communication over a computer network. In HTTPS, the communication protocol is encrypted using Transport Layer Security (TLS) or Secure Sockets Layer (SSL). TLS typically uses long-term public and private keys to generate a short-term session key, which is then used to encrypt the data flow between client and server. Without these encryption techniques, hackers can intercept a wireless network easily and get the information of the users, which includes browsing history, searches, usernames and passwords of social networking sites, credit cards, credentials, etc. In conclusion, encryption has a significant importance in protecting users' privacy and information integrity. Without cryptography techniques, there is no way to protect users' information. That's it for our video today.